Hi friends, now I am under a neem tree. It's a very special tree. It is in flower right now. Well, I will continue talking to you about things the Lord did in my life in Wimmer Institute in California, the US. As I told you before in the previous video, I asked the Lord to make sure that I was in the right place, that He would get the leader of that missionary group to invite me to be part of their team as a missionary, and also get the money in order to pay for my studies at Wimmer. And all that happened, I showed you in the previous video. And you see, I got the responsibility to translate into Portuguese all the material of that team of missionaries. They worked doing health expos all over the world, especially in China and Philippines. And they gave me all their material to translate into Portuguese. And I started translating very hard. Every second I had, I dedicated to that. Even many hours of sleep. I had a very short time to do all the work. And so I worked very hard. I was excited. That was the most important thing I could do in life. The studies were not so important for me anymore as the opportunity to serve the Lord with that team. But while I was translating that material, I saw how precious that was, how Brazil needed that. We never had seen anything like that in Brazil. So I talked to the missionaries, the leaders. I told them about a huge camp meeting that would happen in Brasilia, the capital of Brazil. The plan was to get about 50,000 people in that camp meeting. In the heart of Brazil, all the leaders of the church would be there. I told the leaders that the leaders for that missionary team, and they said, well, if you get an invitation from that pastor, sure, we will go. I asked them permission to use the phone. It was about 10:30 in the evening in Brazil time. I called the pastor, the leader of that camp meeting, the organizer, Pastor Alejandro Bullion, and I told him about the desire to take that team of physicians, nurses, to do that, the health expo during the camp meeting. And he was so glad, so excited, and he said, Ronnie, I was just praying for the Lord to send somebody to do that very type of work here. I'm so glad the Lord is using you to do that. Please come. I will send you the invitation. And so he did. Well, I was so excited. I told everybody, all the students, professors, school employees, and all got so excited to come and help in that project. Everybody saw the Lord was leading. So, well, that gave me some trouble. The college administration, the director told me, Ronnie, you're becoming a problem for us because the students, the employees, professors, everybody wants to join the project. You see, we are not against your team's missionaries' efforts, but we can't allow your activities to disturb our educational efforts. So please stop with the project. But I felt, how can I do that? How can I say no to what the Lord is doing? And for many times, many instances, when I was about to give up on everything, the Lord always sent the mother of one of my roommates. At the moment I was giving up, she would always come, pray with me, talk a little, and I was filled with hope and the desire to continue working for the Lord. So I am very thankful to her and for the way the Lord did to conduct everything. So I continued. After some time, I started thinking, well, this food they have here at the college is so amazing. It's so fantastic. I at that moment in the college, I worked in the cafeteria preparing the food. And as I prepared that food, I said to myself, man, our friends down there in the camp meeting, they need to taste this wonderful food and see that that's possible to make wonderful food without anything that is bad for health. So I started talking to the cookers, the people who prepared the food. And everybody got excited, but not the administration, the school administration. They didn't like that. And they said, no one will go with him. I was disappointed, but I understood their position. So I started praying, Lord, is there any other solution? And people told me about a group of restaurants with missionaries that did a very nice work using restaurants for evangelism. And I asked the people, where do I find the owner of those restaurants? And they told me. I got the number. I called his secretariat, and the lady told me, listen, Mr. So, he was about to leave, but he had to cancel his flight. I will talk to him and see if he can talk to you. Call me back in 5 minutes. So I did. I talked to the man and he said, listen, I don't discuss anything like that by the phone. You will have to come here and we can talk. And if you come, if I see it is something we need, we can go. Well, I thanked him and started looking for money. I told several people, but nobody had any means to help me. And after some 1 week more or less, almost giving up because I had to travel the next week, I finally went to the director of the school. I told him the situation and asked him for the money for the ticket. He couldn't believe what I was asking him. And he said more or less like this, man, how can you ask me for that help I am the one who wants to stop you, and you're coming to ask my help. I don't believe this. And I said, well, no one else can help me. And you see, by all I have told you, how can I say that it's not the Lord's will? How can I stop doing what the Lord is asking me to do? And finally he gave me the money. I went to New York. I was in California, on the other side of the US. There we talked, and he said, I will go. For many years I wanted to enter Brazil. I will hire an airplane, fill it with the best restaurant equipment, with the best Brazilian team I have trained already, and we will go. We just need an invitation. So I told him, well, if we wait until a certain time, I could try to call the organizer of that camp meeting. And he said, okay, let's try. So we waited. I called him, the pastor, and he said he was praying once more. He was praying for the Lord to send some kind of restaurant to that camp meeting, because McDonald's was supposed to get a restaurant to serve over 1,000 hamburgers meals during the camp meeting. Every day, over 1,000 hamburgers. And well, he was very glad, thankful. He was praying about that, and he sent the invitation. Everything was going well. I went back to school. I told everybody was excited. They couldn't but tell that the Lord was leading. And I could not stop. We were getting close to the Christmas break in the period of studies in college. The students had to go to their homes, and a roommate, just 1 week after I got to the college, he invited me to go to his house during that Christmas, let's say, break or vacation. And we were supposed to leave to his house on the next day. But for some weeks before, I was asking people if anybody knew about someone who could borrow or lend a video camera, so I could record what we were going to do in Brazil during that period in the camp meeting. And nobody had any video camera that could lend me. And but they told me about a lawyer, an Adventist lawyer, who had that equipment, and they said, well, if you talk to him, I'm sure he will borrow you the equipment. But no one knew where to find him. We were praying every night, asking the Lord to help solve the problems. One of the problems we still had not fixed. We needed $2,500 to pay for the painting of panels down in Filipinas. Some people were making those panels for the Health Expo, and we needed that money. I was waiting for a donation for a long time, and on that day I had to pay the bill, and I wrote a letter to Hawaii, to a lady in Hawaii, went to the post office, I left there the letter, and went back to my home, to home, bedroom. And there I found a letter from Hawaii, from the same lady I wrote. And in there was a check, $2,500 check, and exactly the money I needed. I thanked the Lord. That night was the last night before our trip for Christmas break in our studies. As I told you, I was going to go to my friend's home, and we still didn't know how to get the camera for recording our trip to Brazil. And during that prayer session, the guy who invited me to go to his home was also praying, and I asked the Lord, please help me to find this man, and ask him for the video camera. Once we said amen, my friend said, well, my father knows that man, they are friends, and he doesn't live very far from my home, and tomorrow morning we're going to go to my home. My father's coming here, and I'm sure my father will do everything he can to take you to the lawyer so you can ask for the equipment. So we traveled. As soon as we arrived at my friend's place, his father called his friend, the lawyer, and his secretariat. She said, well, he was supposed to be traveling right now, but his airplane, he had to cancel his trip because of some problems. And yes, I think he can talk to you. Just a minute. After a while, the lawyer answered the phone and said, yes, you can come, 8 o'clock in the evening, but we can't talk for too long because I will have to travel tonight. And so we went there. After 2 hours driving, we got there a little before 8 in the evening. But he said, well, I have to leave about 10 to get another airplane. But he didn't. We ended talking about 2 o'clock in the morning. From 8 in the evening to 2 o'clock in the morning. He canceled his trip just for us to talk, and he said, well, I don't have any equipment recording videos, but I know someone who has. And I want to take you there so you can ask him. Well, after we went back to college, after the Christmas break, that lawyer took me and we went to his friends. I got to a large building. The lawyer asked me to wait for some time. After a while, he asked me to enter a place. There was a sofa. I sat there, and all of a sudden the lights went on, and there was a couple in front of me on another sofa, and 5 large professional recording cameras. And there started a live presentation, a live program, and that couple asked me things about the camp meeting, about the campaign, what I was doing, whom I was. That couple the man was Mr. Danny Shelton and his wife. I didn't know I was in 3ABN. And after they interviewed me, they said, well, Ronnie, you came here to ask for cameras. You see, our cameras are very large ones, and they are professional ones. We need them for recording our programs. So I'm sorry to say we cannot lend you any of them. But we have good news. We will get all those 5 cameras down to Brazil, and all this crew, all these people, and both of us, and many others, will be going to Brazil for recording all that's going to happen there. And so they did. We came down to Brazil, they recorded everything. See, I surrendered my life to the Lord, to His service. I grew up with many doubts in my heart. And the Lord was gracious to me. He did wonders for my life, as I showed you in previous videos. And I'm going also to show you in the next ones. It's not the end yet. We still have much more to talk about. But you can see up to now how the Lord leads those who trust Him, who surrender to His work, to do His will and work for Him. The Lord has a very special place for you also. We are facing many challenges down here in the Amazon in Brazil. We know the Lord has called us, and we can't just stop. This project, well, it's not only one project, there are several of them. I didn't choose, I didn't design them. I will tell you how they came to me, how the Lord gave them to me. If I had written those projects, I would surely not write them as they were written. So, many things happened against my will. Many things happened, things I never thought of, things I never believed, but they happened. And by many circumstances, many things that have been happening, I can't but say that the Lord is leading. Whom am I to say that is man's will? No, only Him can do those things. And I tell you, it's the most amazing thing to serve the Lord, dedicate yourself to serve Him and to do His will and saving others. If you want to know more about what we're doing and why and how, where we're coming from and where we're going to go, all the phases, all the situations we're facing in building this community, to reach them and use our experience to reach other groups, large groups, as the ones we're reaching here in Brazil. If you want to see what we're doing in order to do the same in your country, in any city, just continue watching our videos. You will see all of them in www.embracetheamazon.org, www.embracetheamazon.org. you will find all our videos, everything we're doing, our projects. And you will know more of how the Lord's leading us, what He has been doing, and how these projects came to me. Thank you.